It was a quiet Thursday night, and Sarah had just started her midnight shift at the McDonald's on the edge of town. The location was isolated, surrounded by woods on one side and a lonely highway on the other. The usual hum of the kitchen equipment and the faint crackle of the drive-through intercom were the only sounds accompanying her as she settled in for what she assumed would be another uneventful night. At 2:15 a.m., the drive-through buzzer went off. Sarah glanced at the monitor. A car sat idling at the menu board, its headlights piercing the darkness. She grabbed her headset and greeted the customer with her rehearsed cheerfulness. "Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order?" There was silence. Then, a distorted voice crackled through the intercom. "One Happy Meal. Extra happy." Sarah chuckled nervously. "Sure thing. Anything else?" No reply. The car rolled forward to the pickup window without stopping at the payment window. Odd, but not unheard of during late shifts. She prepared the meal quickly and opened the window to hand it over. The car was old, its black paint peeling under the harsh fluorescent lights. The driver was obscured in shadow. She extended the Happy Meal box, her hand trembling slightly. "Here you go," she said, forcing a smile. A pale, bony hand shot out from the darkness, grabbing the box with unnatural speed. Sarah caught a glimpse of the driver's face, sunken eyes and a twisted grin that didn't belong on any human. Her breath hitched as the car sped off into the night without another word. She shook her head, convincing herself it was just a prank. Kids, probably. She turned back to clean the counter, but a strange sound stopped her. It was a faint giggle, high-pitched and echoing, coming from the dining area. The lobby had been locked hours ago, and no one should have been inside. Grabbing a mop handle as a makeshift weapon, Sarah walked cautiously toward the source of the sound. The fluorescent lights above flickered, casting unsettling shadows across the empty booths. The giggle came again, louder this time, and her heart pounded in her chest. She rounded the corner and froze. Sitting in one of the booths was a small clown figurine, no taller than a foot. It hadn't been there earlier. Its painted face bore an uncanny resemblance to Ronald McDonald, but its eyes were disturbingly realistic, staring directly at her. A greasy Happy Meal box sat in front of it, half spilled with fries. Sarah backed away, her breath quickening. She didn't hear anyone come in, and the doors were still locked. Summoning her courage, she stepped closer to inspect the figurine. It was just a toy, she told herself. Probably another prank. As she reached out to touch it, the drive-through buzzer went off again. She jumped, nearly dropping the mop. Her eyes darted to the monitor. The same car was back, idling at the menu board. The driver's face was turned toward the camera this time, grinning directly at her. His hollow eyes seemed to bore into her soul. "One more Happy Meal," the distorted voice said. "Extra happy." Panic surged through her. She grabbed her phone to call the police, but the screen glitched, flashing static before dying completely. The lights in the restaurant flickered again, plunging the room into brief darkness. When they came back on, the clown figurine was gone. A loud knock at the drive-through window made her scream. The car had rolled forward, and the driver was standing outside the window now. His face was clearer under the lights, a grotesque mask of smeared makeup, cracked skin, and rotting teeth. He raised a skeletal hand and tapped the glass, his grin widening impossibly. "Your Happy Meal?" he whispered, his voice reverberating through the glass as if it were inside her head. Terrified, Sarah bolted to the back room, locking the door behind her. She could hear the sound of the drive-through window sliding open and heavy footsteps entering the kitchen. Clutching the mop handle, she hid in the corner, trying to steady her breathing. The footsteps stopped outside the door. A slow, deliberate knock echoed through the small room. Then came the voice again, low and mocking. "Extra happy." The door handle rattled violently. Sarah screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the eerie laughter that filled the air. The door burst open, and the last thing she saw was the clown-esque grotesque face lunging toward her, its grin stretching impossibly wide. When the morning crew arrived, the restaurant was eerily quiet. Sarah was nowhere to be found. The only trace left of her was a single Happy Meal box sitting on the counter, a blood-red smile drawn across its surface.